My guest for the morning is Abdullahi Kamaldeen. He's the MPP Nasara coordinator. And just a few weeks ago, he launched that very nationwide coordinating initiative to make sure that the Nasara becomes the forefront of making sure the MPP is pushing the agenda for Zungu communities to be giving an outlook as far as national perspective is. And I have to say, congratulations on that very program, my brother. All right. We also have in the studio Aziz Gomda. He's a communicator with the CPP. And thanks for joining me, Aziz.
You're welcome.
How was your weekend?
Well, it could have been better. But
it could have been better, but okay. I don't want to ask you the economics of it because I know you'll be raising issues. But controversially, let's look at critical issues and the CPP, I have to start with you. Your national chairman, Professor Dele, has warned detractors within the Nkrumah's party that they will soon be flushed out. And we know that he was addressing supporters in the northern regional capital, Tamale, over the weekend. What really did he mean by that?
Well, first of all, I want to say a very good morning to our viewers. And like I always say when I have this opportunity, it's always a pleasure being around to share our perspectives on how our country should go with them. Well, CPP as a political party has a very great history in our country, having been the founding political party in the sense that the party that led and ensured our independence as a nation, which in no doubt was the basis for whatever we have achieved today and what we still hope to achieve as a country. Unfortunately, because so many people had sort of unjustified reasons not to believe in the kind of developmental agenda that was set up by our founder, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. You could see so many distractions, not even today, from that time, with the numerous bombing attempts, assassination attempts on his life, and eventually that led to the overthrow of that legitimately elected government in 1966. As we speak now, it's almost 50 years, or exactly 50 years in 2016. That'll be next, and this month, 24th February this month, will be exactly 24 years since the overthrow of Nkrumah. And not just the overthrow of Nkrumah, the day Ghana was set back in terms of our agenda to move forward as a nation and a beacon of hope for Africa. So certainly moving forward, and 50 years of overthrow, and this has been a very significant year in the history of the party, it is only right that we make a reassessment of how we should move forward. And one of the difficulties has been the infiltration of certain people who in one way or the other do not even have the ideals, the basic ideals of what a CPP member should be, which is basically Pan-Africanism, social justice, and self-determination. And those were the key founding principles of the party. So if indeed we want to put ourselves as a viable alternative for the electorates of this country, having witnessed the reckless and incompetent exhibition of governance by MPP and NDC for the past few years, certainly we need to clean our houses. People might say it's about numbers, but the reality is that some numbers are more of a negative. And when they add to you, they reduce your strength drastically. So we need to have committed people. And this is not the very first time we have such situations. I think Sam Nkrumah had also exhibited that she was not going to condone those things. So it's that kind of continuity, making sure that those who represent CPP are indeed genuinely committed to the cause of not just bringing CPP to power, but making Ghana a better place and helping Ghana develop as Nkrumah had propagated and how Nkrumah has, exhibited during his time. So basically, that's what he means by that. And for me, I am not particularly happy that it is coming at this crucial time, especially coming from Congress, where people were not very satisfied with activities. And, in the nature of democracy and the nature of elections, it is quite expected for people to be disappointed. And as I speak now, I can confidently assure viewers and members of the party that everybody is now on board. Even Samia Nkrumah has shown her commitment that Ghana deserves better. And she's coming to join the force and ensure Ghana goes green. For green symbolizes hope and freshness, and that is exactly what we need as a country. And when the chairman makes that call, I think it's not it is not out of order.
Yeah. For you in the MPP, you should say for national politics and for national social commentary, having the CPP put act in order is also critical for the overall process of having the current dispensation we practice in a very good stead.
Well, I think my brother got it so right when he says that it could have been better in the beginning. Again, matters relating to the CPP, which he belongs to, is something that, of course, I would say belongs to them, if not entirely. The point is that every political party strives to, as it were, get to a point where Ghanaians will see it as a party ready for governance in this country and ready to take up governance and, of course, do better. And that is the bane of every political party. We believe that, yes, indeed, our party, when we win, we can do this, or we can do this, we can win and all that. Now, if there are indicators that points to the fact that some elements within them are not actually doing what will propel their party into governance, they have every right to complain about it, to talk about it, and try to streamline whatever they think has gone wrong or is going wrong, so they can have a forward march and all that. So I wish them a very good luck. It's a good thing they're doing. It's normal and all that. There comes a time when you would have to say that, look, spade is a spade and not, as it were, whatever somebody thinks it is. So you would have to say the truth. You would have to point it out to the person who you think, or some elements of the in the party who you think are not doing what inures to the benefit of all in the party. I have had cause to, as it were, make such statements regarding my party when I some time ago said that, look, if there are moles in our party, let's flush them out. If there are people who do not want the forward march of the party, let's push them out. I've had cause to make such statement. So if today they are doing the same, I don't see what is different from what I did the last time. It's just so good. In participatory democracy, we need all political parties on board. Or in multi-party democracy, we need all parties on board. We should all be vibrant. We should all be okay. They should have policy-driven, as it were, campaign and issue-driven campaign, so we can have a very healthy democratic environment and all the move on. I wish the CPP a good luck. They've started well and they are doing a good job. There's no problem. It only comes to add up to our democracy and make us look good as a country.
And just a quick one, if it permits me. And having recognized that, indeed, we have some moves within our front, which is not very limited to only CPP. We also need to take into account the role of certain political parties in undermining the stability of CPP.
And one of them is, those are...
Oh, both NDC and CPP.
Really?
And
both
all these have historical...
Both NDC.
And
Absolutely.
CPP,
I say both NDC and
oh, did you mention it? You never mentioned it.
So you're saying that they undermine you for their own forward march?
For their own forward march, and to a larger extent,
almost
the
like
detriment.
football, you break down the opposition.
But that is not. You see, in every game, we have fair play and rules of engagement. And we as a country had accepted that democracy was the way forward. And this, what I'm saying, has a historical precedent. It started immediately after the overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, where through some of the founding fathers or the pioneers of the Buza Dombo, Dankwa Buza Dombo tradition, deliberately passed legislations in Parliament just to ban anything CPP. It had to take several years. I think finally we had the chance to come back as CPP just in '96. You understand? So how can the country that prides itself? I'm saying CPP. We couldn't come as CPP in 1981. That's how come.
And was
the name? What's the name?
MPP was in power then?
It's not about MPP being in power. As a political party, as a political party, you always.
I just wanted us to treat this.
No,
but let's look at this on the front page of the Daily Graphic. No, I've cut the issue.
No, but it's very good.
Please, I don't have time. When the time comes, you say I'm giving it on the front page of the Daily Graphic. We have give me Monday to rule. Nana Dankwa tells Ghanaians, and for this, MPP seem to be in the news. Or they have a candidate of theirs also attacked in Cape Coast North, and I keep saying I know the husband very well, so almost like I know her. I haven't met her before, though. I hope to meet her. But NDC also is asking Zungu community to disregard promises of the MPP, and we know this is also following the recent Nasarawa conference that was organized in Kumasi. And you were very instrumental because you're the coordinator. But let's start with the Nasarawa. I grew up relatively very much very conversant with the various demographics of Zungu communities because I grew up in Ashaiman. So I know that illiteracy is very high. The provision of amenities in those communities are not as you would want it to be, and so that the whole process of having the enlightenment among those groups of communities is not there.
Yeah.
The political parties, do you really mean well for the Zongo communities, or you're just using them as a trump card to make sure you are next power?
Well, I guess we mean very well when we say that, I mean, when we had our presidential candidate, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, in fact, and with his vice, Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, re-echoing this position that his presidential candidate, our presidential candidate took, because he did mention that it is something that is going to do, inshallah, if he becomes president, to institute or to put in place the Zongo Development Fund. Now, this Zongo Development Fund is going to be very broad. First of all, we're going to look at aspect of education of the wards of the Zongolese, or the wards of people living in the Zongo, okay? We're going to also look at infrastructure development in terms of provision of amenities, like you rightly mentioned, under this fund, as it were. You've just alluded to the fact that, yes, visit the Zongos today, and it's not the best you are going to see in terms of provision of amenities, provision of infrastructure, and all that. Now, today, the NDC has come out to condemn whatever we said at the conference, or the NPP said at the conference. And I'm surprised, because we are in government for 8 good years now, since 2009 till date, and you are unable to do a single thing for the Zongos. And yet someone comes to tell you, look, these are my plans. Inshallah, should I become the president of the Republic of Ghana, I am putting in place a fund to solely cater for the Zongo communities in this country. Then all you say is that the person is unable or is not going to be able to do it, when you've not even given the person the opportunity to do that. You have been given opportunity and nothing have you done for them. Today, when you talk, when you read their statement, they tell you that, look, they are questioning the position of the MPP on the Zongo Development Fund, and they don't believe that this is going to happen. Just give us the mandate, just like the presidential candidate has put it. He said, look, give me the mandate to rule. Give them the mandate and you will see what we are going to do. Today, as we said, when you look at the proper policies that we talk about under MPP regime, the Zongo benefits even more. Because when we talk of impoverished people, we are a bit impoverished. We are the underprivileged. In the Zongos, we don't have much. So when the MPP government, first MPP government came into power, he said, look, let's abolish this cash and carry system, which kills and, of course, denies people access to health facilities, and quickly brought about the health insurance. I tell you, there has not been a policy that has gone around to affect everybody positively like the NHIS before. And the Zongos is not an exception, and we are to enjoy that. 2, Arabic institutions. We have over 3,000 Arabic and English schools in this country. When Kufuor was in power, he said, look, through Islamic Education Unit, let's pay these people. Let's help the teachers who are Arabic instructors. This government came. These are people who claim they are for Zongos. They have scrapped it and it's not working in this country. I tell you, we are saying that when we come back, that thing is going to be reinstituted and going to be put in place. Those are the things we're talking about. Finally, you know that the major occupation of the people in the Zongos has to do with trade or trading. Our women or our mothers go to Togo, Benin, Nigeria to buy goods and services. I mean, come and sell and all that in it. Today, as we said, the exchange rate, how well have we managed the forex market to affect the people positively, or to, of course, assist them go about their duty? This is lacking. We are saying that when we come, prudent policy will be put in place for us to help. Now, I want to look at facilities. Go to the Zongos, with all respect to my people living in the Zongos. And of course, I live in the Zongo, he lives in the Zongo too, I know him very well. Okay? You go there and early morning, somebody wants to at least attend to the loo. Go and see the queue there. People stand for close to 30 minutes, 40 minutes in the queue just to visit the loo. And we are saying that, look, when we come to power, Zongo Development Fund will cater for some of these things and look at infrastructure development for us. Then you sit down to say, we can't do it. Give us the mandate and you see what we can do in the Zongos.
Is that the case? The Zongos, very important. It's where you can find that the 2 topmost parties get a lot more of their supporter base from. Especially you go to the communities where the Zongos are very much predominant.
Well,
he will tell you the CPP were for the Zongos.
I don't need to
or
tell
the Zongos
you.
was for the CPP.
I don't need to tell you that. If you take into account the membership or how CPP used to mobilize masses during our quest for independence, it was not just about some group of people who thought they had the opportunity to travel outside Ghana and enjoy certain educational opportunities out there that took the decisions. It was the most basic of people in the society, in the country. Because as a party, who sees itself as a socialist party. We don't believe in that idea of elitism, where few people out there take decisions on behalf of us. And you see, when I hear MPP and NDC keep on coming to us about Zongo deserves better, I'm like, you've had this opportunity several times. MPP as a political party was in this country for 8 uninterrupted years.
I just told you what we did.
NDC as a political party have been there and they're still there. You see, like our flag bearer says, as a nation, our development shouldn't be what is being dictated to us by the likes of IMF and other multinational donors. Our development must be responsive to the needs of our people. If you take into account our population dynamics, most of us live below the poverty line. So when we are making policies, those policies should reflect their interest and not the few multinational corporations who at the end of the day would not even leave the profit they make within Ghana, but take it offshore to develop their own countries. You understand? That is why as a party, we have always maintained that the key to succeeding as a country is to embark on a vigorous nationalization and industrialization agenda, where at the end of the day, our people would have decent living. I don't necessarily believe in that kind of government intervention where everybody must be given. The best government intervention is to invest in the people, create jobs, and allow the people to fend for themselves. Not when there's election, you go around dishing some few tokens like 100 Ghana cedis, thinking it's sustainable. Is that the kind of Zongo fund we are talking about? And you see, if you also take into account the Zongo communities, it hasn't got to do with lack of opportunities, but it has got to do with the lack of deliberate policies on the part of government to create sustainable means of employment. Let's look at the kind of education system we have in the Zongo communities. Either you don't have up to par teachers, it's either what's the name, the infrastructure is nothing to go. Most of these what's the name, shift system we currently run in Greater Accra and other, they're in the Zongo communities, because you realize the people have the neighborhoods, the population is huge.
And
Yet
the schools can't take them.
The schools can't take them, and the people are willing.
They need to go to the same.
Those are the things we need to be talking about, not the petty zings we give them during what's the name, election community, what's the name, periods, election campaigns, not the what's the name, the flowers, not the fabrics and all those things. They need decent living. Mentorship is very key. Another thing you realize in Zongo community is that because we do not have those better educational systems, at the end of the day, anybody who goes to SS, they think it's enough. And these are stuff government can make deliberate policies to change.
That's what Zongo
you understand?
Do.
You've been there for several years, you haven't done that. You understand? As a political party, CPP, Convention People's Party, what we intend to do is to come up with a very comprehensive policy that addresses the root causes and not necessarily the symptoms.
How do we, I know that very soon you'll be putting together perhaps your campaign document, and that strategically also will result in you having a party manifesto and all that. What really is the mindset, for example, even as you think at your level as a coordinator for Nasara within the MPP, what really is the medium to long-term objective of making sure that the Zongos don't feel relegated when, let's say, the MPP wins power, for example?
No, clearly, I just told you that this fund exactly is going to be a broad-based one, and is going to take care of some of the issues my brother is raising here. Let's not also forget that the only party that came into governance, of course, I stand to be corrected in a way, and thought of job creation, thought of the youth being, as it were, unemployed, and then let me find a way of getting the youth engaged, is MPP. Under the NYEP program. Wait a minute. Under the NYEP program, I'm talking about the contemporary times that we have. Forget of this.
You mean forget of which one?
You mean as an objective?
As an objective,
okay.
Of course. That's why I said I stand to be corrected, and I'm saying that
there's so much correction.
Of course, when we look at it, we look at the unemployment nature of the environment and how the youth are not engaged and all that in terms of employment, and we quickly came out with a policy that says that, look, let's identify the youth who are unemployed from SSS and to those after university and all that. Let's see how we can engage them, in fact, tentatively, leading to sustaining them later in the near future. I believe that, yes, these policies were put in place. NYP now, they call it a year or something, they call it now. We brought about it, and many youth in the Zongos, a lot of youth in the Zongos, benefited from some of these policies, and of course, were engaged as a result of these policies. And we are saying that, look, if given the mandate again, and inshallah we're going to be given the mandate, if given the mandate, we're going to look at it holistically and see how we're going to engage the youth in the Zongos, how we're going to get them employed, how we're going to create jobs for them to move on so we can go on. Again, you see, the bane of our development has to do with human resource and the empowering, how to empower the human resource or the manpower of this country, and it has to do with education, capacity building. How can we push them? Zongo Development Fund is going to look at capacity building, going to look at how we can build the youth. That's why we said that, look, somebody would be able to do with SSS, and of course a very brilliant but needy student wants to move on. We say, look, apply to the fund. We're going to find a way of getting the money for you to continue with your education so you can have that capacity building that you're talking about. Then you can come out to serve your
empowerment
society.
is critical.
In all, empowerment is critical. So trust me, we are given the mandate on the 7th of November, which inshallah I know Ghanaians are going to do, we are going to make sure that we turn things around in the Zongos, and that is what we're going to do, trust me.
Roland, you see, when they keep on talking about creating employment, are they talking about that kind of employment that as of 2007, people were paid a mega 70 Ghana cedis a month? Is that kind of employment
so you're talking about sustainability?
We're talking about sustainable income.
Sustainability comes after.
Wait, you
have people from SS and they don't have so much.
Let's not mock the citizens.
You're not mocking the citizens.
Let's not take them for granted. And as a matter of fact,
sitting down and having nothing
must
to
now
do.
realize that both NDC and NPP have been frustrated for the past.
NPP is the alternative.
The best alternative. You understand?
People have been absorbed.
The argument is that you need to put your houses in order.
The point is that our house is in order. The point is that our house is in order, and you get up. And when we're talking
that's
about,
why you're flashing.
When you're talking about employment, absolutely. And you talk about creating employment. It has always been an issue of job for the boys. Those who are able to hold machetes for you and steal ballot boxes during elections. It's not about getting that low. That is the reality. And Ghanaians must begin to realize that both NDC and NDC have been frustrated, and that they don't take us. They don't have us in mind. It has always been trying to find their way through to win political power. And this is the time to be saying the viable alternative is to go green. And by going green, endorsing us overwhelmingly come November 7th. And I'm sure that will be the end of all our troubles as a country.
I like your zeal, and I like
it's not about liking the zeal. It's about
the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission promises to put before court persons who engage in vote buying in the electioneering. As well as within the voting process for November 7. We have to discuss that, but the MPP has slated Collective primary for February 27. Now it's been agreed.
It's been agreed.
Okay.
I think it's been agreed. It was a court decision, and as a party, we could not have said that we'll do otherwise than, you know, to go the court way. If the court says that they go and do this, let's not forget that. Though we have a party constitution, but it's subject to the laws of Mother Ghana. And if the courts of the land says this is what you ought to do, why not you go by what the court says, and we're doing it. So 27th is going to be held, and we're going to have, I think we've had all parties agreeing to the rerun, and it's going to happen as it were. You want us to go to the Electoral Commission?
Well, yes, okay. Especially when they said that they will have to prosecute those who engage in vote buying.
I read the story, and I could not just understand Sylvia, I know very well. You know, point is, how do you even define vote buying in the first place? Have we done that? I'm yet to look at the provisions of the law that tells you that this is what, this is an act that constitutes vote buying. This is an act that does not constitute.
You're saying that as far as the regulations or laws are, it's still a bit ambiguous.
Absolutely, a bit ambiguous.
It's not clearly
What are the actions that a political party puts in place for someone to say somewhere and term it as vote buying? Is a problem. We have people who abuse incumbency when they are there. And yet, let's not forget, they're political parties. And the NDC is in power today. The NDC, of course, wait until election time. You see them running around with some, as it were, they call it asphalt roads. They say they have done some asphalt roads in your area. Okay? They just can't pour some bitumen on the road and tell you we have had some artifacts. I don't know what that also constitutes vote buying. You see people sharing cloths and then whatever to people in the area, claim that it's under lip and that it is for the vulnerable and all that. Is it also vote buying? So how do we define vote buying? Again, I'm wondering how they're going to do the monitoring. Well, it's a nationwide thing, and you go around the country, you don't know at what point is an NDC surrogate or, as it were, member or MPP member is somewhere doing what, and what is he giving to the people? What do you actually, how are you going to monitor this? For me, I find it very, difficult to understand what it meant by vote buying here until clear-cutly we are told that this is a regulation put in place. XYZ when it's done is vote buying. This and that when it's done is vote buying. And it's by the law we are supposed to punish you. If you just come out and make a blanket statement that we are going to ensure that we prosecute vote buyers, how do you even identify them in the first place? So for me, if I take it with a pinch of salt, and I really don't until a regulation comes out clearly. I'm told the CI is supposed to be in Parliament, laid in Parliament by now, and they're supposed to look at it. And if Parliament passes it, becomes the CI for the election that we are going into. I don't know whether as part of the CI, the proposal sent to Parliament, this vote buying definition will also be part of it. I really don't know.
But Aziz, we know that there are actions that have been taken in times past, especially in election periods, that have directly or indirectly given the indication that these actions are being done to influence. And to influence, invariably, people to change their minds as to how they vote and how they make their political decisions.
Yeah, that's quite true. And I am not surprised my brother has said he would not take this seriously, because they have all been culprits when it comes to vote buying. And when I say they have both been culprits.
Oh, so you know what vote buying is?
NDC and MPP.
Oh, you know what vote buying is? What is it? Tell us.
They've always taken this country to ransom by engaging in some of those activities. And sometimes it's sad. It's sad in a sense that, you see, the kind of people they target are people who are really desperate to earn a living. You understand? People who can't afford the basic requirements of sustaining life. And when it gets to that time, because of that sheer desperation, and because of their lack of sensitivity, or in other words, their insensitivity to the plight of Ghanaians, they take advantage of those situations. I have particularly witnessed in 2008, I think, when he spoke about, what's the name, abusing of incumbency. Certainly MDC have been culprits of that, as we saw in the last elections, where certain vehicles were shared, and we also the backlash that came or that accompanied it. But in 2008, I happened to be in the community around, I think, Savlugu constituency, where a chopper, helicopter, was up there releasing flyers and monies.
It's not true.
Of Nana Addo Dankwa-Akufo-Addo.
That is not true. Not
I
money.
was there.
Flyers, yes. But
flyers and money.
No,
using helicopter choppers.
Let's be decent.
There was money.
That is
There was
never
money.
True. There has never been
there would have
money.
been a scramble.
It's never true. It's never
Absolutely.
true.
Like I said,
this is an outright lie. Please be corrected. Flyers, yes. We had a way of campaigning in 2008 by getting some helicopters.
Roland, I think it's fair you allow me.
No, don't say money.
I've been very decent when he's making his submission. I trust him.
You're making an allegation.
Aziz, it's not true.
No, but he would have the chance.
Money has never been.
Okay, the two of you. Okay, the two of you. It's okay. Before you continue, you agree there were choppers.
There were choppers
releasing
with flyers.
But
Absolutely.
only what you know was absent was the money attached.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
please,
let's be very.
Let's leave this chopper thing. But you've made your point. You're saying that you are alleging.
I mean, it's okay, but it's not.
It's not matter of alleging.
Money.
For once, I think
yes.
I need to make this point.
But you say you witnessed it.
I witnessed
or
it.
You heard it.
I saw it. It's not about witnessing it. I saw it.
Gani.
I saw it with my eyes. Feeling. Why should I? Do I not have any reason to lie about it?
Gani.
Oh, I just saw it with my eyes.
Money.
In Savlugu constituency.
In what denomination?
2008. Certainly the 10 Ghanaians, the 20 Ghanaians.
Okay, yeah. So let's move on.
You see, and first of all, I want to.
So you say such actions?
Such actions are exactly what we're talking about. And the deliberate attempts to undermine the sanctity of democracy. You understand? Democracy is supposed to be people.
But Aziz, how do we put all these things into law? For example, these are done perhaps transiently in such a way.
You see,
that it's not as if they are deliberate or strategic, so to speak.
You see, the point is that I am not fan of trying to always say, let's look at other places, because I believe as a country, we have what it takes to be better than other places. But in Canada, in UK, we have seen people, politicians, prosecuted and convicted for vote buying. So how different is it when even it is more prevalent in our part of the world than this? You don't need rocket science to figure out if someone is buying votes. At least, if for nothing at all, MPP and NDC have made it very easy for us to figure it out, because we know the kind of schemes. So if we are willing, the really bad thing is that those are the same people who are responsible to making the laws, and people who do not have us at heart. So certainly they will make laws that would promote their own political interests and not necessarily the interests of Ghanaians. And for me, I am totally in support of this directive being brought out by Electoral Commission, and every meaningful Ghanaian, every Ghanaian who indeed has this country at heart, in making sure that when we go to the polls, we vote for people who indeed have good policies to make sure Ghana develops, should support this call. And I'm calling on civil society to add their voice, and I'm glad it was a civil society that championed this cause in the name of IDEC. So if indeed MPP and NDC believe that Ghana should pride itself as a beacon of hope when it comes to democracy, they should support it and not say they are not going to treat this with the respect it deserves.
But you made that point.
And the point is that
you made a point earlier.
I think I'm still on the floor.
Wait a minute.
Oh, no, my point is not. Please let me land. And if he admits that there is vote buying, you understand? I think what he should have done is that, okay, let's now see how we can come together as a nation and come up with a comprehensive law. Because as a matter of fact, EC doesn't work in isolation. You understand? Most of what comes out from EC is discussed at IPAC. You understand? And we have every political party.
Are you a member of IPAC or your party?
As a political party, as a party that is registered, we have representation at IPAC. They equally have a representation at IPAC. So they should rather come out and let us discuss how we can figure it out. But not to say we are not going to treat it with that respect. That suggests exactly the kind of mentality they have moving forward to November 7th, 2016.
I say the manner in which we're getting this statement, or the way the statement is coming out, not backed by some definitions of what constitutes vote buying. For us to all know, that X, Y, Z constitutes vote buying. When you do this,
but if you look at the situation as it is,
sees it as vote buying. Therefore,
Abdul, if you look at the situation as it is, would you say we're in a position to give any indications as to what type of activities or actionable items that will indicate whether this is vote buying or not?
Why not? That's why I said that, look, we should not let the law that, of course, sees this as criminal be ambiguous. Okay? You come out there, and if there's no ambiguity in the law, and it says that A or B or C constitutes vote buying, and we know it's all against the rules that establish Electoral Commission and fairness, and for that matter, in our election, of course, we all have to be careful and go towards it. I did not say anywhere that I am against the principle of vote buying being punished. I'm not against it.
Oh, but that was clear from your submission.
But my point here is that we have allowed some lacuna to be there. Therefore, people can go ahead and do things and still defend themselves as saying that it's not vote buying. So until that is defined, of course, I will take this with a pinch of salt. That's what I'm saying. That's what I said.
And we know that this year we're going to see, let's say, government in power. They're going to do a lot more roads.
Yeah.
But they've promised those roads in the budget. And those roads may come at a time when it's closer to the elections. Okay? They're going to inaugurate new health posts. And those will be times closer to the election. They're going to give a lot more social intervention.
Like LEAP, they've started.
Okay.
Calling old ladies and old men.
You would term that as vote buying?
You see, because that is why I'm saying that he cannot tell me exactly what action constitutes vote buying now.
I just gave you an example about how flyers and money were thrown out from shoppers in 2008.
That is not true.
It is very true.
That's not true. Let's put that aside. That's
only
not
flyers.
true. Flyers, yes,
there was money.
Did you get some?
Well, I don't need that kind of money.
It's not even true.
It's very true.
There's no one who doesn't need money. It's not true.
I don't need that kind of money.
My point is that if we have anything that we do as a people, which of course will be seen as vote buying, then let's spell it out. Let's know that, look,
so it should be clear cut.
This year,
well defined.
So the civil society,
and that's exactly the point I was making.
Pushing for this.
And how can it be clear cut? That's why I said EC
given to the
doesn't work in
I believe they might have done that.
You understand? And your party has a representation at IPAC. My party has a representation at IPAC, just as any other political party that is registered and is moving forward to this.
IPAC is not binding on us.
I'm not saying it's binding on us.
For the money of the industry, Kamaldeen Abdullah is national Nasarawa coordinator for the NPP, and also in the studio is a CPP communicator Aziz Gomda. We're taking a break. When we come back, we're looking at entertainment, as always, brought to you by Airtel. Gentlemen, thanks for coming.